Our next speaker is Dr. Demi Kouzounas of Saco, who was re-elected as the chair of the Maine Republican Party on January 12th, 2019. By the way, she just drove from Scarborough, so thank you very much. Chairman Kouzounas is a dentist and a small businesswoman with nearly 30 employees at locations in Scarborough and Skowhegan. Along with her practice, Dr. Kouzounas also helped start Bright Smiles, a dental clinic for low-income children in Portland, and is co-founder of Dentists Who Care for Me, or Maine, which same thing, right? Which provides a free day of dental care each year. Dr. Kouzounas is the past president of the Maine Dental Association, a nonprofit association of about 650 dentists across Maine. Born in Sanford, Dr. Kouzounas received her doctorate in dentistry at Tufts before serving our country in the U.S. Army. Let's welcome Demi Kouzounas.
Hi all, I am glad to be here and outdoors because I've been stuck in the room all day long and I'm loving this. I think most of us will sit back one day and ask ourselves, what happened in 2020? For those of you that can remember the 60s, maybe 2020 will be one of those historically memorable times. I think it will be. It's been a very busy few months, and so I wanted to update you of what's going on with the Maine GOP. So it's been crazy the last few months at the headquarters. Over the past 3 months, we have been fighting tirelessly to collect signatures to get the repeal of ranked choice voting to the November ballot, effectively blocking its use for presidential elections. I know, I've heard it 100 times. Why don't we repeal the whole thing? Why are we doing it just for the president? Well, I have to tell you, there is quite a big difference between repeal and initiatives, and this was a repeal. Despite major setbacks, including obviously a worldwide pandemic, statewide shutdown, and Janet Mills delaying our essential worker permits for the month of May, we were still able to collect 72,000 signatures in a shortened window of 64 days within overbearing restrictions. And the restrictions were we couldn't go door to door. We had to do it all by having little stands, and we called them sign and sign, where you signed and we're giving a Trump sign. We gave away 25,000 Trump signs. This was a massive undertaking of at least 500 volunteers helping us all over the state, and it was an important one. Without doing this, we would have become the first state ever to use ranked choice voting in a presidential election. While the left claims that there is an effective way of voting, we all know this was truly about blocking the re-election of Donald J. Trump in the state of Maine. By the way, how beautiful is that? If we didn't stop ranked choice voting now and repeal this, it would spread to other states. We all knew it. The RNC knew this. And democracy as we know it would change. That's why it became very important to try to repeal and put our foot down on this bill. Despite rightfully collecting 72,000 signatures, Secretary of State Matt Dunlap pushed back. No surprise, right? Our Democrat Secretary of State Dunlap erroneously threw out 10,000 signatures of Maine voters to put us in the threshold that would not put us in the ballot. And here's the kicker. He did not notify us. That's right, despite repeated calls, me included, calling the office requesting an update on what was going on the 31st day. Remember, they only had 30 days to review the ballots. The Secretary of State went radio silent and instead put out a tweet after the close of the business day on the 31st day to notify the state they had thrown out 10,000 signatures. There was no explanation and the calls were not returned. Who's shocked here? I'm not. Moreover, when we requested a review and appeal of the decision, We were supposed to have 10 days to scan the petitions, do our research, and find errors. However, we only had 5. Of course, due to the expensive CD2 election going to ranked choice voting, even though the other 2 candidates had conceded. But no, we had to go ranked choice voting. And that cost, of course, us tens of thousands of dollars. With our nation's national partners, we will be fighting back the allegations of error, giving our citizens of both sides of the aisle. We had independents and Democrats that helped us with ranked choice voting, allowing their signatures to be counted, because we truly believe ranked choice voter is a suppression of votes. We assembled an extraordinary team of attorneys, probably the top attorneys in the state, never mind the attorneys that flew here from Washington, D.C., and we have filed yesterday in state and federal court. I have already reached out to some of you who will be plaintiffs on these suits, because we just needed people who had either circulated or had signed the petitions to have standing. I appreciate the support and let you all know we will prevail on this issue. Thank you. Next, I'd like to talk about what happened 2 weeks ago. We had, again, as I said, it's probably the craziest time of my life. We had the first ever virtual convention. We waited and we waited and we waited, and the RNC finally said, guys, you have till July 11th to select your national delegates and alternate per RNC rules and state rules, so we could be compliant. Otherwise, we would not be able to deliver our delegates to our president. So as we got closer to July 11th, we realized time was running out. We had to do a virtual convention. None of us ever did a virtual convention. We had no clue. And people like me have no understand how the tech works anyways. I personally thought all the wires were like magic. I didn't understand it. But we had, thank God, enough people that could figure out how to do it. And we hired one of the best tech companies in the state of Maine to allow us to do a virtual convention. So as I said, those weeks were probably the busiest of my 3.5 years as chair. And I'm sure glad that the team at the Maine GOP of 4 people were able to pull this off, because we had great volunteers. We also have the Trump victory team that was right there helping us out. Many of your attendance and patience was so appreciated. We are now officially in compliance. The meeting that we had basically got us to be compliant with the RNC state rules and our convention rules, and of course the state of Maine. We have to be compliant with the state of Maine. So I can't thank you all enough. The convention in Charlotte has switched back and forth 10,000 times, I kid you not, and I just got the most updated agenda. And this has been difficult not only for us, for our national delegates and alternates that have worked so hard to get themselves elected, but for our president. He's itching to have a rally. He wants to be there for all of us, but he can't. And what he can't do is possibly infect one person, God forbid, with COVID, because it would come back and bite him. And that's what the biggest problem is. The convention will therefore be only from the 20th to the 24th in August in Charlotte, North Carolina. There will be no acceptance in Jacksonville that he had prayed to do, because now Florida's become a hot spot, and he doesn't want to hurt Florida. So obviously the Jacksonville acceptance and event has been canceled. Imagine, they spent over 100,000. I was on the coordination of arrangements for the convention. They spent over $100 million. I wrote down 100,000. That's error on my part. $100 million to get Charlotte ready to go, to no avail. We will not be having a big convention. All of us, which will be 6 out of every state that will be going, will have to be COVID tested before we even get there, and most likely COVID tested again once we get them a hotel room, and then we will not be allowed to leave the hotel room for 3 days. And again, that's because the Democrats are watching every move our president is making. Finally, I want to talk about an exciting event that happened last week. We had the Women for Trump that showed up in our state. And that's because Maine has become extremely important to the President of the United States. We're one of 20 targeted states in the country. We had Lara Trump, Mercedes Schlepp, who, if you all remember, was here the beginning of the year when we were able to get the 2,000 signatures to get our president on the ballot. Pam Bondi, who, by the way, is very interesting. She served with Janet Mills when she was the Attorney General in Florida, and they went on a trip to Israel together. And we informed you that Janet Mills has changed quite a bit from the time she knew her. And Katrina Pearson. Surprisingly, and I only found out the day before, they spent 4 hours at my house because they had no place to go from 1 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They were supposed to go to the Stars and Stripes in Freeport, but because of the bad publicity and the cancel culture, they got fearful and they canceled it. We were able to get Jimmy the Greeks in Orchard Beach, which I hope all of you would like to visit and give him some of your business to Jimmy the Greeks for doing what he did. But they spent 4 hours at my house because they had no place to go. Is that the craziest story ever? So they tried to hurt Jimmy the Greeks, and I'm proud to tell you that many Republicans, and that's who we are, bought food in the middle of the night through the internet and said, I will be paying for this food, but don't bother delivering it. I don't want the food. This is a donation to your establishment. So I'm honored that was going on, and my husband and I will be going there hopefully this weekend or next week to have a few beers and some food outside. They were thrilled. They had gone to Wisconsin and had a small group, not what they expected, and that was the beginning of their bus tour. Since we came out, and I think it was well over 100, I know the newspaper said 100, we think it was closer to 200. They were so thrilled. They are now officially saying to everybody that the bus tour started in Maine, and that's a big deal for us. Finally, I want to talk about the fact that our vice chair, Tommy Hicks from the RNC, is coming to Maine. The email just went out a few hours ago. He will be in in Lewiston on Lisbon Street at the barbecue pit. I hope I said that right, on Lisbon Street on the 11th, which is Tuesday. And again, he's coming in to meet the people, get to see our new candidate in CD2, and be basically showing his appreciation for the state and rallying up the troops. So I think Maine is a very important state. Stay tuned. We're going to need all hands on deck. We want to deliver. I would love to deliver all 4, but at least 3 electoral college votes to our president. And I think if we could do that, I think we'll push him over the top. Thank you. If anybody has questions, I'd be more than glad to entertain them.
What am I talking about? We are, me and Jack, hello, we are the Trump campaign for Cumberland County. I also cover York County as well. We're actually right here organizing, reaching out to all the Cumberland County candidates right now, planning some potluck meet and greets, field trainings for like door knocking, phone banking, and getting our candidates and town committees working together and involved at the doors and with the election. So if anyone wants to be involved with the local candidates, Susan Collins, Jay Allen, as well as President Trump, we'd love to have everyone involved. So.
And Marky and Jack are the best.
Marky forgot about one really big thing that we're doing. On Saturday, we're having our first official Maine Trump boat parade at Sebago Lake. So it started out actually at first at Little Ossipee, and it was only supposed to be about 10 to 15 boats. And once again, like the liberal media did with the Jimmy the Greeks event, they made it nice and popular, and they jumped down our throats very quickly. So, obviously, as the great patriots of Maine do, they rallied together. Now we have, close to 100 boats coming to Sebago Lake on Saturday. Really big event. It's going to be awesome. We have a couple vendors that are selling Trump merchandise that are coming to the Standish boat launch for the day. We're doing voter registration, flag wave, so it's going to be kind of like a big bash to welcome August into the next 100 days, last 3 months type of the election. So yeah, and if you don't have a boat, Harmon's Beach is open, and Janet Mills doesn't do a lot of great things, but yesterday she upped the public group to 100, so we're allowed to have 100 people on the beach. So if you would like to come, Harmon's Beach, if you don't have a boat, you can watch the parade from that area. So awesome. Thank you, guys.